it's a differentiator because there's so much liability in flying aircraft for yourself, let alone other projects, right? You want to have the best trained, safety in mind pilot available to you. And by doing these different things, it just kind of sets you apart from everybody else.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 442. What does it really take to launch a successful career in the drone industry? For that question, we head to Dallas, Texas, to speak with Michael Hill. Michael is Program Manager of College Workforce Programs at the Unmanned Safety Institute. The Unmanned Safety Institute, or USI, is an approved training partner of ASTM International and the International Business Aviation Council. The Institute is dedicated to improving safety in unmanned aviation by applying time-honored aviation safety practices to unmanned aircraft systems. USI accomplishes this mission by developing workforce readiness programs, providing training to UAS crews, and helping flight service providers meet their safety goals. Michael is a certified UAV pilot in 3 countries, with over 6,000 flight hours and more than 7,800 successful incident-free missions as a remote pilot in command. He holds industry and safety certifications from FEMA, OSHA, NIST, and USI. He is a highly sought-after public speaker and industry influencer, passionate about sharing his expertise on UAV technology applications for land, air, and sea operations. He brings a wealth of experience in areas including aerial mapping, telecom and wind turbine inspections, oil and gas and critical infrastructure assessments, search and rescue operations, as well as involvement with state and federal regulations. As an active advocate for the drone industry, he has served as the policy and legislative chairman for the North Central Texas Council of Governments UAS Taskforce, and as the training officer for the North Texas Public Safety Unmanned Response Team. Additionally, he holds the role of second lieutenant and the former Director of Unmanned Operations for the Texas wing of the Civil Air Patrol. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Michael talks about the Unmanned Safety Institute and how it helps prepare students for viable careers in the drone industry. But before we hear from Michael, I want to stress that your support is the heartbeat of my podcast. Every episode is crafted with you in mind, and your generous donations ensure I can keep delivering the content you love. Whether it's the price of a coffee or a more substantial contribution, every bit helps to defray the cost of production. Donate today and be a vital part of the podcast's continued journey to greatness. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And if you can, please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave a nice review. It really helps improve the podcast ranking among the many thousands of active podcasts today. And by the way, if you have a great story on the use of drones that you'd like to share in a podcast, contact me at randy@droneradioshow.com. Now let's find out how workforce development programs can help people prepare for careers in the drone industry with Michael Hill of the Unmanned Safety Institute. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Michael to introduce himself.
My name is Michael Hill. I am celebrating my 10th year in the drone industry. I go by the tag name The Drone Pro, and it's because I've done so much in my 10 years. I've flown over 6,000 hours in a whole array of UASs. Everything from search and rescue to movies and TV to infrastructure inspections to little bit of everything. Considered a pioneer and one of the leading experts in the world on drone technology. And Now I'm the project manager and master instructor for what's branded as the USI at Dallas College, Unmanned Safety Institute at Dallas College program, where I'm helping Dallas College develop a drone UAS workforce development program there.
Michael, how long has the Unmanned Safety Institute been around?
Yeah, so they just celebrated their 10th year. And what's interesting is that I never promoted a product in my career other than Unmanned Safety Institute. I got their safety certifications early on in my career, and they were a game changer in setting me apart from various other drone pilots as I was trying to make my name in the industry. So I've had a long relationship with them. I believe very deeply in the safety certifications that they promote and getting people to get. So when they approached me in December to say, hey, Dallas College wants to do this, and we think you're the guy to help us with this, it was an easy transition for me to go with the people I've known all these years to go out and promote their curriculum and help, build a workforce development program at the college.
How does the drone curriculum at Dallas College prepare students for real-world jobs in the drone industry?
So we just had our launch last week. We started with a no-cost Part 107 prep course, and it was the largest launch of a new program in Dallas College's history. We had 105 students that signed up. We've already got quite a number of them that have already passed the FAA exam. So that was kind of our introduction to industry and to the region that Dallas College is starting to put together these courseware where they can come in, start with their Part 107, work through their primary and advanced certifications that USI offers, including USI's got a maintenance track, a cybersecurity track. So students can come in and, one, start with, I just want to get my drone pilot's license, or two, they want to maybe go to work for, one of the package delivery companies or something that are currently operating in Dallas Fort Worth. And they want somebody with that real world safety experience to fly those BVLOS missions.
Beyond photography and video, how is drone technology impacting other industries? What kinds of career paths are opening up for students?
Yeah, it's pretty massive. So, I'm licensed in the United States, Canada, and the UK, and I've flown in all three countries. And it's interesting to see the ecosystem in Dallas Fort Worth. So, there's over 300 different industries that are using drone technologies. Here in Dallas Fort Worth, we've got Walmart that's delivering product over 75% of the Metroplex. We've got several other companies that are partnered with DoorDash, delivering food from over 200 different restaurants here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's growing exponentially, right? So that's just one section of what's going on with drone technology. Then if you look at the 15 plus public safety entities that are currently using drone technology here in North Texas and beyond, you've got that. You've got construction is probably one of the hottest verticals now for hiring and using UAS pilots. You've got agriculture. That's another massive growth there. You're moving from those big crop dusters that, just kind of shotgun approach spraying chemicals down to drones dispersing chemicals in such a small, unique area, as well as detecting vegetation and diseases and weeds. And we're still in the early ages of drone technology because there's just so much out there that hasn't been touched yet, right? But I think we're starting to see more like infrastructure inspections. We've got so many bridges in that are struggling, the power grid, utility companies. So overall, there is just a whole array of opportunities. And we haven't even touched in on entrepreneurship, right? Those that want to fly real estate photos or go out and do mapping or, any other videography or, photography type stuff, right? So there's amazing amount of opportunities out there if people are interested in the drone technology.
Part 107 is the starting point. But what other skills, certifications, or classes do you recommend for students who want to stand out?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I just came back from talking to a session this morning, and I was asked this very same question. So it's And it's kind of a burr in my saddle, so to speak, with the FAA, because we work so hard at learning the content of flying in the national airspace, spending the time and money to achieve that UAS pilot rating. And then basically that's it, right? The bar is set really, really low. Where, like in Canada, when I got my license there, I had to pass an aeronautical exam, I had to pass a flight review, and then I had to have a special waiver for me to fly because I'm not a Canadian citizen, right? So the bars are really different. And it's interesting in the United States that the bar is set so low that we can basically let anybody over the age of 16 fly an aircraft in the national airspace, right? And not really have a proficiency check behind that, right? So several of the things that we're working on with Dallas College to develop is outside of the cybersecurity track, which that is a big upcoming piece, and the safety certifications that USI offers. It's about proficiency, right? For me, I'm a NIST proctor, and I find that NIST training is the driver's training, so to speak, for drone people that have never flown a drone, right? If you don't know about the NIST technology, it's a series of buckets that you have to fly, take shots and precision shots and traverse and do these different movements in a small quarter. Anybody can fly up and down 50, 60 feet, but to really learn a skill set for close quarter imaging and flying, that NIST protocol is the way to go, right? So you're seeing more and more public safety entities and companies, individual companies, adopting the NIST technology. So that's something we're working on at Dallas College, is not only just teaching you the content and giving you those safety certifications that industry recognizes and looks for, but also teaching you that proficiency in how to fly that drone, right? To kind of level the playing ground, so to speak, because Part 108 is getting ready to come out, those BV loss flights, and that's going to be a game changer for the UAS pilots. I believe it's going to split the pile up down the middle, and those of us that are flying larger VTOLs and beyond visual line of sight, it will fit into that and kind of cut the subsection about what's Part 107 and what's Part 108. And I really believe that Part 108 is going to be geared towards more manned operations, right? So it's about empowering students to understand the technology, give them a crawl, walk, run approach, right? That they just woke up one morning and they want to fly drones and don't know where to go. And how do we start and how do we empower them? But then also to have those workforce development partnerships on the back end that we can help these students find jobs. And Dallas College is a highly respected college throughout the nation. Their vision is to make this program a national workforce development program. And they're already tapping into all of their partners in different verticals to tap and get that excitement going and bring students into going through these course tracks. So it's really an A to Z. Let's get them in. You know, most people, they don't want to go a 4-year degree program. They want to get out, fast track, and get a job. And that's what these courses at Dallas College are about, is about getting them empowered, teaching them about this emerging technology, and then pushing them out the door and helping them try to find a job.
You mentioned the protocol earlier. Is that becoming a standard or a certification, or is it more of a recommended guide?
I would say it's both, right? So we don't have any regulatory entity that said, okay, you have to be NIST certified along with having your Part 107. But I think that those value and having the NIST protocols taught through their people, their entities, right? So I think that it's not a regulatory push as more as people are looking for, how do we be better trained? How do we empower our people? And more so, with so many people wanting to get in this industry, how do you differentiate the pile, right? I mean, you got somebody's got a Part 107, but then you got somebody's got a Part 107 and NIST certified and FEMA trained and safety certified by USI, all those things, right? That's a game changer when you start looking at workforce development. Is you got somebody that basically has no skills and basically somebody that's out obtaining those skills, right? So it's really become the only proficiency practice out there, right? And we've got to adopt something, right? Because as I shared with you, like Canada, they're doing their flight reviews, right? So we can't just let people take these aircraft and fly them without having some level of proficiency.
How valuable is it for students to finish school with demonstrated drone skills that they can show employers?
It's been a game changer for me in my career, in my 10 years, right? I've flown over 6,000 hours, and it really initially it was like people didn't really care what certifications you had. But as you start making a name for yourself and you start growing in your career, it's a differentiator because there's so much liability in flying aircraft for yourself, let alone other projects, right? You want to have the best trained safety in mind pilot available to you. And by doing these different things, it just kind of sets you apart from everybody else.
What makes Dallas such a hotspot for drone innovation and activity?
That's an interesting question because I have my own personal opinion about it. Some 7 years ago, Ernest Huffman with the NCT COG, which is a group of municipalities here in North Texas, he created what we call the UAS Task Force. And there were a handful of us that sat in the COG meeting trying to figure out how do we put this together. And I got nominated to be the policy and legislative chairman to work with our legislators about drone technology and that. And then, we had Maggie Schuster. She was over education. We had Russell. We had a couple other of us, but really it was a handful of us that grassrooted and went out and started talking to municipalities and public safety and companies and created the task force. That task force has grown from a handful of people to some 400 members, I think now. The COG is holding monthly meetings where people come in, they talk about what they're using drones for and the technology and that. So I really believe that those efforts spearheaded by Ernest Huffman and the COG really created the environment that we have here in Dallas, Fort Worth around this technology because we've got UTM partners that have been testing unmanned traffic management protocols here. We've got aircraft manufacturers that are flying. We've got people like Wing and Walmart and DoorDash that are doing drone deliveries here. We've got a number of public safety entities that are using drone technologies. Dallas PD has the largest drone program of any PD in the country. Last year, they flew 8,000 missions, and they're planning to double that this year, right? And then you have the Arlington Police Department that was part of the COG initially. They started flying Dallas Cowboy games for the NFL. Well, now that's become the gold standard for the NFL for stadiums around the country that public safety are using the aerial robotic technology for. So I really just believe in my heart it was all the efforts that we put in over the years in developing the UAS task force that created such a vibrant environment here in Dallas Fort Worth, not only investors, but legislators and municipalities adopting the technology and rules and all of that. I really believe that that's what's created because I've been all over the world and I've never seen another environment like Dallas Fort Worth that's so welcoming around this technology.
There's a lot going on with unmanned traffic management in Dallas. How does Dallas College expose students to the opportunities in that space?
So we do like anyone else. We start that grassroots of here's a drone. Here's why you need a drone, right? Here's how you find out the airspace that you're in. Here's how you get permissions and why, right? So we've really started just kind of a grassroots movement of taking them from A to Z to help them understand. So by the time they leave, like the workshop we started last week, those folks, as soon as they left, they knew how to get LANC authorizations. They knew how to check the airspace they're in. They knew about privacy laws. All of the things outside of now we learn how to fly drones, right? But all of those other pieces that are critical to them, being good actors and good pilots and flying in the environment, right? So, but I've always believed that public awareness is key to all of this. That's why it was such a joy for me to be the policy and legislative chairman for the task force because I could get out and talk to people and explain to them about the technology and why, right? And then NASA became a part of that think tank and that task force. I was fortunate enough that I got elected to two of Governor Abbott's committees on advanced air mobility, and NASA was involved in the early ages of developing what is UTM protocols. And they used Dallas, Fort Worth, the task force, and all the energy coming out of Texas to help develop that, right? So, now we've got a number of companies that have stood up that UTM here in Dallas, and why not? It's a very vibrant, eco-friendly drone environment and great place to, not only test UTM protocols, but also the hardware, the equipment, and the pilots, right?
Does the program cover specialized drone applications like thermal imaging, mapping, night flights, or construction work?
Yeah, so the college is an interesting arena. I'm learning about academic business. It's not something I've been a part of. I've been a part of the commercial side. But inside of the college, they have a division called the Ascent Institute that works with their corporate partners to develop all kinds of training platforms. So that's why we're looking at developing mapping courses, thermography courses, law enforcement overwatch and accident reconstruction, all of those things that you typically wouldn't get at a college, right? But are very useful in helping people to start either their own drone business or enhance the job that they're currently doing at a construction company, or for law enforcement, right? To help them train and empower them on the technology. So I've always believed that there is a vast pool of people out there that are yearning for this knowledge, and they don't have the time to sit in a week course, or maybe they want to do it at night, or they want to do it on the weekends, or whatever it is. So Dallas College has been really great in helping develop some of this stuff that we'll see come true here as this relationship with USI and Dallas College develops.
When Part 108 is finally rolled out, how do you think it will affect the programs at USI and Dallas College?
I think that's going to be a game changer overall, right? Because my argument has been that any of us that have flown for a while, we already fly BV loss, right? You get to an age where our vision diminishes, and maybe the end of the parking lot is beyond visual line of sight, right? And we also know that the technology is changing so much with these aircraft that they're capable to fly out there several miles away outside of BV loss. But are you, as a pilot, certified, prepared, and trained to be able to fly those, to implement emergency procedures, to a whole array of things, right? So that's where we're going to see a game changer. There's a lot of Part 107 pilots that don't do this for a living. They're not flying commercially. It was a benchmark to get that FAA certification, right? And then it just kind of got shelved, right? So we have some 400,000, I think, was the latest number of registered Part 107 pilots. I would be surprised if half of them are actually flying, And those that do are like myself, you're flying BV loss, and technically you can't be, but it's kind of hard not to when these vehicles are autonomous. And let's say you're mapping a 100-acre plot of land, right? And the sun is out and all that. So technically you are flying, BV loss. So I think that we're going to see, and this is just my opinion, I don't know, for sure, but I think we're going to see those requirements for BV loss be closer to manned operations, right? It would make sense. We're flying in the national airspace. We're flying in and around manned aircraft. We should have basically the same type of training as they are having. The difference is that we're remotely piloted. So, it'll be interesting to see. I've heard a lot of things, the 26, 27. We don't really know when that's going to come out, especially with all the upheaval in the federal government right now. But it's something in the industry we are desperately needing. It will be a game changer for all the industries that are using drone technology, as well as it's going to differentiate the pile of who are truly certified remote pilots and who are, technically those hobbyists, right?
Can you describe the pathway from education to employment? How does Dallas College help students transition into the workforce?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So that's twofold on that. So on the USI side, USI has MOUs with Zipline and Wing and those entities that are currently doing those package delivery and operations, right, around the country, not just Dallas, Fort Worth, but they're standing up in Arizona and such, right? So there is that opportunity to go through the courses, get your USI certifications, and then with that, fall into that MOU of they'll be interviewed and potentially get a job with that company. Outside of that, on the Dallas College side, they have all kinds of relationships, right? They're I want to say they're like the seventh largest community college in the United States. They have 7 campuses here in Dallas, Fort Worth. They have very, very big support from their trustees, as well as deep relationships in so many different verticals, right? So it's an easy fit to be able to go to their partners and go, oh, hey, you're a construction management company. We're now offering these courses, and really leveraging the relationships that Dallas College has built. Like the police department for Dallas, last I heard, Dallas College helped train some 8,000 policemen over the years, right? So it's those type of relationships that Dallas College is going into, going, look, you're trying to empower your folks. You want to embrace this technology. Here's the opportunity that we're giving you to do that. And for the students, you don't have to go 4 years, right? You go, 18 weeks, 16 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the course may be. And then you have that knowledge certification and potentially an interview to go to work for one of these companies, right? So Dallas College is really leveraging a lot of their relationships internally to help with that workforce development.
Do local companies in the Dallas area offer internships or on-the-job training for drone students?
And that's one of the passion pieces for me. There's a scratching of that, right? But with these relationships with Dallas College, I do a lot of public speaking, a lot of networking events. I'm trying to create those internship pipelines, right? Because maybe you don't have somebody on your staff, but you may, or maybe you have somebody on your staff that wants to be a remote pilot, right? So in this whole workforce development project that I'm trying to stand up at Dallas College, that's a piece of it, is being able to find those internships that our students can go to and understand in real world, how does this emerging technology work in that particular industry. So it's all part of this workforce development that I'm working with Dallas College to help create opportunities for these students, not just in Dallas Fort Worth, but anywhere in the United States, right? That these companies may be looking to, adopt this technology.
For someone interested in starting a drone career today, what advice would you give them to help them get started?
How do you get started in this industry? The thing that I tell people to think about the most are several things. One, find a niche. You want to do mapping. You want to do package delivery. You want to do real estate photography, whatever it may be. You want to do window washing with drones, right? You want to use sensors for spraying chemicals on concrete to, get them to cure. Whatever it may be that you want to try to use this technology, find a niche, dig in and stay in that niche and be the best that you can. For me, I believe knowledge is power. I believe in getting as many certifications and training courses and, everything that you can to differentiate you from your competition, right? And then the last piece I tell people, you're like a professional baseball player. Fly every day, right? Get the skill set, not just up and down, but the skills that you're going to need to supply your clients whatever they may need. And then I also share with this, if you're going to go in business by yourself, have some business knowledge, right? Most people, they jump into this and they become great drone pilots, but they're really bad business people, right? And to maintain yourself in what's still the Wild West in the drone industry, you have to have a good business sense about you. You have to have a go-getter attitude, and you have to, be wary of the haters that are going to pile on you because you're trying to achieve something, right? But if you can overcome all those things, you can become very successful. You can make a very nice living doing this, whether you want to do it full time or you want to do it as a retirement gig, right? My advice to you is get as much knowledge, obtain as many safety certifications, and all of those things that will differentiate you to clients, and you will see very quickly how that will make a difference in what you're doing in your career path.
Does Dallas College offer any support or certificates for students who want to start their own drone business?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I had a session this morning with the ASTM Institute, and what they do is they hire adjunct professors to come in and teach marketing 101, bookkeeping 101, right? So they have a whole grouping of entrepreneurial classes, right? The community college is really about empowering students or even adult learners to empower them to go out and do better by themselves, right? Create a job, empower them even further in whatever company they're working for, right? So it's amazing to see the whole array of offerings that Dallas College has in and around just about everything you would want to learn, right? So this morning I talked with them about adjunct professors around business, because if you're not a good business person and you get in the drone industry, you could be the best pilot, but your business is going to fail. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know marketing. They don't understand social media. They don't know how to build a website, right? All of those things. And Dallas College offers those type of programs that they want to go on a weekend and learn. Then they go in for a few hours and they learn, right? So they're really about empowering folks to do better by themselves. It's amazing.
And for my final question, Michael, where do people go if they want additional information on pursuing a career in the drone industry?
I have a fairly large following. Please find me on LinkedIn, Michael Hill, the Drone Pro. I write a lot of blogs under my website, uncrewedaerospace.com. I write a bunch of stuff about the drone industry. I share lots of news about the drone industry. You can find me on YouTube under Uncrewed Aerospace as well. But I would suggest, please follow with me. Reach out if you got a question. You want to know what's your pathway to get into this fascinating industry, or maybe you're struggling with something and I can help guide you into what aircraft to look at or how better to empower you in your business, right?
That's it for episode 442 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Michael Hill of the Unmanned Safety Institute in Dallas. I want to thank Michael for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about the Unmanned Safety Institute or want to connect with Michael, check out the webpage at flyusi.org. If you like the Drone Radio Show, then please subscribe and share. Write a glowing review on iTunes. And if you're able, donate to keep the podcast going. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.